I found a tiny orange kitten crying outside my house, covered in mud and barely able to walk. What happened next completely changed both of our lives. Before the story starts, I want to ask you something. If you believe every animal deserves a chance at life, please take 1 second to like this video and subscribe. It helps more people see stories like this and helps more animals get rescued. Now let me tell you about the day I met him. It started on a normal day at home. Nothing unusual, just a quiet afternoon. Then my nephew suddenly ran up to me and said he heard something outside. At first, I thought it was probably just a bird, or maybe another neighborhood cat. But he kept insisting. He said, "I hear a kitten crying." So we went outside to check. The sound was very faint, soft, almost like someone whispering for help. We followed the sound around the side of the house, and then I saw him, a tiny orange kitten, sitting in the dirt. He was completely covered in mud. His fur was wet, clumped together, and he looked like he had been outside for a long time. But the thing that broke my heart the most was the way he tried to move. He was trying to walk, but he could barely stand. Every step looked difficult for him. He would try to take a step, wobble, and almost fall, and then he would cry again. He was so small. I honestly think he was only a few weeks old, way too young to be alone. No mother, cat around, no other kittens, just him. Crying, weak, and clearly struggling. My nephew looked at me and said, "We can't leave him here." And at that moment, I knew we couldn't. I slowly walked toward him so I wouldn't scare him. He didn't run away. He didn't even try. He just looked up at me and cried again, like he was asking for help. I gently picked him up. He was shaking, cold, light as a feather, and completely covered in mud. At that moment, I realized something. This tiny little kitten had probably been fighting just to survive, so we brought him inside. The first thing I did was prepare some warm water. He needed a bath badly. His fur was so dirty you could barely tell he was orange. Very carefully, I started washing the mud off him. At first he was scared. He kept crying softly, but after a few minutes, something changed. He started to calm down, almost like he understood he was finally safe. As the mud washed away, his real fur started to show. Bright, orange, soft, tiny, he looked like a completely different kitten. After the bath, I wrapped him in a warm towel. He looked exhausted, but also relieved. Then came the next challenge, food. He was clearly hungry, very hungry. So I prepared some kitten food and gently offered it to him. At first, he didn't know what to do. He sniffed it, looked confused. Then finally, he started eating. And he ate like he hadn't eaten in days, slowly, carefully, but with determination. Watching him eat was emotional, because you could see how badly he needed it. That tiny little kitten had probably been struggling outside alone for who knows how long. After he finished eating, he curled up in the towel, still weak, still tired, but no longer crying. That night, he slept safely inside the house, warm, clean, and finally full. But the next morning, I noticed something again. He still had trouble walking. His little legs were shaky. Every step was still difficult. I don't know if he was injured or just too weak from being alone outside. But one thing was clear. He needed time, care, and patience. So we decided to help him recover. Day by day, we continued feeding him, keeping him warm, helping him learn how to walk stronger and slowly. Little by little, he started getting better. His steps became steadier, his cries became softer, and sometimes he even started to play. That tiny kitten we found crying in the mud was slowly becoming stronger. And every time I look at him now, I think about that moment, the moment my nephew heard that tiny cry, because if he didn't hear it, if we didn't go outside, that little kitten might not have made it. Sometimes the smallest sounds are actually someone asking for help, and sometimes all it takes is someone willing to listen. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing. It helps this story reach more people and helps more animals like him get a second chance. And if you've ever rescued a pet before, tell me about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story too. Because every rescue story starts with one moment, just like the moment we found a tiny orange kitten crying for help outside our house.